Hello Collecting Zones. Today we'll be looking at another topic, which is, does net worth actually explode after $100,000? You've probably seen tons of YouTube videos on this topic, and yeah, we'll just dive a bit deeper to see if this is really the case. Now, to start off, let's start with a disclaimer. The information provided is for general informational purposes only and should not be considered as financial or any other form of advice. It is recommended that you consult with a qualified professional before making any financial decisions, as this content may not be accurate, up-to-date, or comprehensive. The use of this information is at your own risk. Okay, right off the bat, my answer to that is no. Net worth does not explode after 100K. Context is very important. If I just have $100,000 and do nothing with it, my net worth does not explode. There are lots of assumptions made in those videos, and you just have to understand those contexts. In essence, what they're really talking about is the magic of compound growth. So this means that if you do nothing with your 100K, you will get nowhere. However, if you invest 100K consistently in some sort of investment that attracts a consistent or some rate of return, and you keep it in there for a long time, then you can enjoy compound growth. So what does it really mean? Why 100K? I actually have no idea. They could do the same thing with 50,000 or 200K or even 1 million. The rate of growth would be the same depending on your interest rate. So ultimately it really comes down to three things based on the context. Depending on your initial amount, what interest rate you're assuming that you're going to get, and perhaps a recurring amount that you're planning to invest. All this factors in how quickly your investment is going to grow. So I've tried to think, maybe there is some reason, maybe there is some rationale for selecting that 100K. Maybe it is the first six-figure number in US dollars terms, so that's why people choose it, and it sounds like a decent number, because even if they do grow at the same rate, a percentage applied on a bigger number would result in a bigger figure. So that's probably why they went with a first six-figure number. And yeah, it's the figure when growth becomes noticeable. So for example, if you get 10% on 100,000 would be $10,000, whereas 10% on 1,000, that's only $100, which is probably not as noticeable. And it's a psychological boost again. Goes back to the six-figure number, and it's closer to 1 million, which is potentially the number that most people are aiming for. It's definitely 100K is definitely closer to 1 million compared to 1,000 or 10,000. Yeah, so that's probably the reasons why most people chose 100K for that title in their video. In essence, it depends on the rate of growth. Here's a table of growth and how long it takes to double your money based on the interest rate per annum that you choose. So if your interest rate per annum rate of return is 1% per annum, then it takes 69.66 years to double. Whereas if it's 10% per annum, then it only takes 7.27 years to double your money. And here we are looking at initial 100K amount. Say you invest 100K US dollars today. This is how long it takes to increase your initial investment by another 100K. So to get to 200K, it takes 7.27 years. This is assuming a 10% return per annum. To get to 300K, it takes 11.53 years. 400K, 14.55 years, etc., etc. So as you can see here, because of compound growth, the period of time for your investment to grow by an additional 100K reduces over time because of compound growth. The first 100K moving from 100k to 200k takes 7.27 years, whereas this next 100k from 200k to 300k only took 4.25 years. And subsequently from 300k to 400k it only took 3 years, 3.02 years, etc. And from 800k to 900k it only takes 1.24 years. So all this is talking about, and all those other videos, they're really just talking about compound growth and keeping your amount invested to earn that rate of return. Okay, so now to actually create something that makes sense for the South African market, and not to just say randomly that net worth is going to explode at 100 after 100k. Let's look at an example of how you can get to 100k if that is your target. And because we are dealing with the South African market, 100k USD is actually around 1.75 million South African rands, which is a very high number in South Africa. Average salary is quite low in South Africa compared to USA, so even if we are talking about 1 million ZAR, it's a lot of money. So let's try how we can get to 100k South African rands in South Africa, because it is still a lot of money. So here are two scenarios on how you can get to 100k with a relatively small amount of investment. So say, for example, you invest 1,000 rands per month at an 8% interest rate. It takes 77 months, which is 6 years and 5 months, to get to 100k. However, if you are able to invest 2,000 per month at 8% interest rate, it only takes 44 months or 3 years and 8 months to get to 100k. So this is just reinforcing the fact of the importance of consistent investment and just keeping your amount invested, and just let compound growth work for you. That's in essence the summary of this video. So here's another example. Say if you're 20 years old this year and you have zero savings, and let's say you have no debt and your net worth is zero. Start investing 1,000 rands per month and assuming an 8% interest rate per annum, which is actually not a difficult rate of return to obtain. If you just look at some savings accounts in banks, 8% is not difficult at all. If you want to get higher, then you may have to try other forms of asset classes, but 8% is quite realistic. So in 7 years you will get your 100k, and at 30 years old you would have 180k, 40 years old you have 590k, and when you are 50, just this simple investment will get you 1.5 million rands. And here's a graph of your net worth over time. And there you have it. Let's go to the summary. It's so important to always take the first step. So you may feel that 100k rands is very far from you, or that 100k US dollars is very far from you, so you might as well not try at all. But it's really just about taking the first step, even if you're starting from something very small. And yeah, make compound growth your friend, and don't make it your enemy by taking on a lot of debt, because that's making compound growth your enemy, which is not great for your financial future. And then consistent contributions is really key. Be dedicated, motivated to make that constant monthly contribution per month, and it will go a long way, and in essence make money work for you. Hope that make sense and is helpful for you. Thanks for checking out the video. Subscribe, comment and like, and yeah, catch you on the next one.